Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to go over the Pythagorean theorem. So, what is the Pythagorean theorem? The Pythagorean theorem tells us if we have a right triangle, so a 90-degree triangle here, and if we drew a square on each side of the triangle, then the area of the two smaller squares will add up to give the area of the big square. And something you might notice by looking at these triangles is that the big square is across from our right angle, our 90-degree angle. And since this big square is across from the 90-degree angle, that must also mean that this square has the longest side. And we call this side, the longest side of the triangle, the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse of a triangle, the longest side, is always going to be across from the 90-degree angle. And there's a formula we can use to represent the Pythagorean theorem. The formula is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So, let's imagine I have a triangle with sides A, B, and C. Then the Pythagorean theorem is going to tell us the area of these two smaller squares will add up to give us the area of the biggest square. So let's take a look. So if this side is A, for example, then the area of this square must be A squared, right? Because each side of the square is going to be A, right? So, and the area is just going to be A times A squared. Same with this side, right? If the length of this side is B, then the area of the square is just going to be B squared. And lastly, our hypotenuse, our longest side here, is C. And the area of this square is going to be C squared. So again, what the Pythagorean theorem tells us is if we add these areas, that's going to give us the biggest area here. Let's take a look at some examples here. So in these examples, I'm trying to find the missing side of these right triangles. Now, since these are right triangles, we can use the Pythagorean theorem. And the thing I want to note before we take a look into these examples, the Pythagorean theorem only works if we have a right triangle. Right? So this Pythagorean theorem is only going to work if we have a right triangle. If you do not have a right triangle, then the Pythagorean theorem will not work. Okay, so let's take a look at part A. So I'm going to show you two ways that you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side of a triangle. Method 1 is by drawing out the squares. Let's draw out the squares on each side of this triangle. Next, we're going to find the area of each of these squares. So this square, if both of the sides of this square are 3 centimeters, then the area is just going to be 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay, for this square, if each side of the square is 4 centimeters, the area is just going to be 4 times 4, which is 16. And since this square here is the biggest, we can just tell by looking at it, right? Since this square here is the biggest, the Pythagorean theorem is just going to tell us the area of these two smaller squares will add up to give me the area of this big square. Now, to find the missing side of this square, we need to take the square root. Right? So we'll need to take the square root of 25 to find the length of the missing side. Why? Well, to find the area of a square, remember, all we're doing to find the area of a square is we're multiplying the number by itself. In essence, we're squaring the number to get the area. So if you want to do that in reverse, if you want to find the side length, if we know the area, then we need to take the square root. The square root of 25 is equal to 5. So the length of this side, the missing side, is 5 centimeters. Another way we can do this is by using the formula. Again, remember the formula tells us that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. C represents the longest side of the triangle, the side across from my 90-degree angle. That's the side we're trying to find that we don't know. A and B are my other two sides of the triangle. So here, we can say A is 3 centimeters and B is 4 centimeters. Three squared, 3 times 3 is just 9. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. Okay, so we know my side squared is going to be 25. To get the side by itself, I need to do the opposite of squaring, which is taking the square root. So if I take the square root here, the square root of 25 is just 5. So there's my answer. You can use any of these two methods to find the missing side. Right? It doesn't matter which method you use. They'll both give you the same answer. Okay, let's take a look at one more example here. And I'll show you how to do it using both methods. So in the first method, what I did is I drew out a square on each side of my triangle. Next, I want to find the area of each square. And I know the area of this square with the side of 7 is just going to be 7 times 7, which is 49. The area of this square is going to be 25 times 25, which is 625. And now we need to find the area of the smaller square so we can find the length of this side. And now you can notice just by looking at this drawing, clearly this square is smaller. Right? This is a smaller square than than this one here. Right? Since this is a smaller square, what we need to do is we need to subtract the areas to get the area of the small square here. So if we subtract the areas, 625 minus 49, we get 576. And remember, to find the length of this side, we just need to take the square root of 576. And the square root of 576 is just 24. So the length of this missing side is 24 feet. So that was method 1. Method 2, we can use the formula. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now remember, c, that's the side across from my right angle, the hypotenuse. The side across from my right angle is 25. So I'm going to put that in for c. My other side here, I can label as a. Right, so say 7, that's a. And what I'm looking for here is side b, right? I'm looking for side b here. I can simplify this expression, right? Because 7 squared, 7 times 7 is just 49. B, that's what we're trying to find. And 25 squared, that's just 625. And all we're doing now is we're just solving this equation for b. To solve this equation for b, what we need to do is we need to take away this 49 from this side, because that will give us the b squared by itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take away 49 from both sides. And if we take away 49 from both sides, that's just going to leave us with b squared is 625 minus 49. 625 minus 49 is 576. And again, just like before, to find the side, we need to take the square root. The square root of 576 is 24. So the length of the missing side here is 24 feet. So again, just to summarize, the Pythagorean theorem tells us the area of the two smaller squares of a right triangle adds up to give you the area of the big one. And you can represent it using the formula a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared.